So you stumbled across this game somehow. However you found it, it interested you, and so you clicked. What is this? Going into the game, the only thing even slightly reminiscent of a tutorial are the little character portraits you can interact with on the side. They'll give a brief overview of their abilities, and that's it. Given things used to be a lot worse, at least we have the funny little tip screens now, right? Right? Okay, yeah, no. The beginner friendliness of this game is, something. You're kind of just given a description, then thrown into a round as if you're just expected to know how to ride a bike without training wheels when you don't even know what a bike is. And seeing as how the most recent guide I could find in this game was around 7 months ago, I feel like something like this is an absolute necessity, especially now that the player base is probably the most massive it's ever been. With that, this guide will go over the following things. The first thing you'll notice will probably be the sidebar that indicates yourself, your teammates, your usernames, and health bars. You have no stamina bar, and you are able to jump. The second thing you might notice is the environment and the big scary monster rapidly approaching your location. Despite what you may be thinking, these guys are not nice. Run away from the evil monster. They will hurt you. When your teammate is in chase or being hunted, an indicator will appear over their character. When they're hurt, their character will be highlighted for you to see and possibly offer support to if it's not too late. But in the case your teammate does get downed, they'll remain highlighted across the entire map for your entire team to see. Their health bar will turn into a blood bar. This blood bar is a timer for how long you have until your teammate cannot be revived. If it drops to nothing, they're out of the game. When you pass over a downed character, a revive option will appear and they'll be back in the fight, but in a downed state. This means they're on their last life. When somebody is knocked out for good, they have the option to become a minion and play on the other team. So if you see a zombified individual that used to be your friend, do not run towards them. That is not your friend anymore. Now, something I've yet to mention is the timer that ticks down at the top of your screen. As a survivor, the goal of this game is to run down the timer for as long as possible, hopefully up until the final 80, where the exit will spawn and you'll have a chance to win the video game. As stated earlier, this game is not beginner friendly. That's reflected a lot in the 11 survivor characters you can choose to play as, but out of all those characters, I'd say there's 2 that I believe might be easier to play as and easier into the game more so than others. Those 2 would be Sally and Cream, though I won't go too in-depth into their characters as that'll be for another video. In summary, Sally can shield not just herself but her teammates, and Cream can give a temporary overheal as well as being able to outrun the EXE with her speed boost. For beginners, these abilities are probably the simplest to use and therefore the least overwhelming. But if you disagree, please feel free to leave a comment. There are 8 maps in this game: Hill, Kind and Fair, You Can't Run, Hide and Seek Act 2, Not Perfect, Base, and ... On each map, there are certain congregation spots that everyone seems to gather at without any actual communication. Upon spawning in, your primary goal should be finding your team, and knowing of these common meeting grounds is a tremendous help, especially if you spawned alone. I'll try to display them on screen. all maps have special little gimmicks, but here are the few that do. Hill floods when it turns into Final 80. It'll start out as rain and rise as time passes, being almost completely flooded by 40 seconds. This flood, unfortunately, really only penalizes survivors as they are able to drown in the water. If you stay beneath the water for too long, the iconic drowning music will begin to play, accompanied by a timer that'll indicate how close you are to instant death. All you have to do is get above the water through jumping or other means in order to avoid this and reset your timer. But please note that if you are downed or grabbed while in the water, your timer will start immediately. If a teammate manages to pick you up during that time, the timer will not reset until you get above the water. You Can't Run has saws active throughout the map. Tripping over these will deal 25 damage to survivors and briefly stun all EXEs and minions. Base has a Five Nights at Freddy's inspired camera system that can be used by all entities. They activate the laser doors, shutting out or locking in anybody on the opposite team. The two normal camera locations around the map can only reach the doors in their adjacent areas, but upon reaching the base's red room, you'll find the holy grail of night guard shenanigans, a camera spot that can reach anywhere. In public lobbies, the cameras aren't utilized much, but if you're ever playing with people you know or in a voice call, try to coordinate them. They can honestly be life-saving. On Not Perfect, there are little bumpers that can bounce all entities. These can be used as evasion if used smartly. When the timer hits 140 seconds, a white ring will randomly spawn on the map. All entities will be able to pass through this, and it brings them to a desaturated, small hill kind of map. This is where the real ring will spawn when it hits 80 seconds. Please know that survivors are not able to return to the special stage ever passing through the white ring, but EXEs and minions are. If anybody is downed after their teammates have already gone in, they will be left to bleed out. But be careful about sticking around. Once the timer hits 100, if there are any non-down survivors still in the special stage, their health will begin to drain by fives until they enter the ring or are downed. On Kind and Fair, after a certain period of time, a blackout will happen, limiting everyone's vision. EXEs are still able to use their indicators, but survivors are no longer able to see their teammates indicate on the side of the screen. There is no way of knowing somebody is in chase unless you're nearby. If you're alone, keep your wits about you. EXE can sneak up on you at any time, so try to stay in an area where you can see them coming. If somebody gets down during this time period, they'll appear as question marks instead of their username. Should you revive or save somebody, your name won't appear as your username but your character name. Shortly into the blackout, a green light or two will appear somewhere in the map indicating a fuse box. When reaching this fuse box, survivors will be able to turn the lights back on. Oh yeah, I almost forgot to mention the hidden map mechanic on Hide and Seek 2. If you stand in a minecart, the EXE will not be able to see you. I'm surprised more people don't know about this. Previously mentioned, when the timer hits 80 seconds, a green warp ring will spawn randomly on the map. Jumping into this ring will secure yourself and escape, a victory for that round. But it's important to note that this is a team game. If a teammate is downed or in trouble and the ring is shiny right there, up for grabs, just calling your name, resist the temptation. If your teammate is rescuable, do your best to go back for them. Of course, there are times when it's better to just leave, as that team member is doomed anyway. Let me paint you a scenario. Imagine somebody has been standing in a corner doing nothing the entire game, simply watching as you and your allies fight for your lives. They get down a bajillion 1 miles away from the ring. Look at me, okay? Come here. Listen close. You don't have to go back for them. But of course, when and when not to help your teammates are your judgment calls to make, and something you'll get more familiar with in time. In this game, friendlies are EXEs that just don't attack. There are anomalies that spend the entire round laughing, running away, or other stuff I don't know. They're weird. Friendlies are weird. Some EXEs also just pretend to be friendlies just to grab you or something. Targeting is just going for one person and not helping the hell off even after they've stunned you countless times out of pure self-defense or popped the speed boost like 3 times already. This term gets aimlessly thrown around a lot because Roblox kids are silly, but actual targeters are really lame. Just don't do it. Tail stall, what the? He went straight for me, dude. What the hell? Please spawn right here. Please spawn right here. Oh my god! I win! I win! I win! I win! I
It spawned on me. I win.
Teamers are those who side with the opposite team because they're friends or something. The EXE either won't attack them or they're actively working together. Sometimes friendlies, targeting, and teaming all hold hands and skip in a field, which can just make for an overall miserable experience. Oh yeah, and a lot of this stuff is just bannable, so there's nothing to gain from it anyway. Camping is when EXE is staying near a downed player in hopes of killing anybody that tries to pick them up or something, I don't know. If you ever see an EXE camping, don't go for the revive, as it makes them waste time. Hammer camping is the same thing, but EXE just hovers over Amy's hammer after she threw it. Like with normal camping, if you see an EXE hammer camping, let them, it's a time waster. Backliners are characters meant to support from afar, like Cream, Sally, and Tails. Likewise, middle liners are those that have to get somewhat close to help their team, like Rouge and Silver, while frontliners are your stunners. Okay, last term I can think of has gotta be stalling. You'll see this term thrown usually after someone gets grabbed or down. I'd say as a beginner, do not worry about this term at all. As a general rule of thumb, it's better to just revive someone if you're able to anyway, so please just don't worry about it, and I'll probably go into it in another video. Sonic.EXE has a cloning ability, but these clones are possible to tell apart from the original due to their different walk patterns. Some Sonic.EXE players pretend to be clones though, so be careful. Don't stray too far away from your allies even if you're a backliner. You always want your team to be at least in view, as getting singled out is the worst possible scenario in a team-oriented game like this. When a teammate gets grabbed or put in a down state, their blood bar drains significantly faster than if it were just a normal down. A Colossus grab is able to be interrupted in many ways: reliable stuns, a Sally shield, or Cream overheal, with the latter two not actually able to stop it, just stall it in case a stunner is on the way. If you notice your teammates at high health and you aren't, don't be afraid to fall back for a bit, even if you are a stunner. Likewise, if your teammates have taken hits or been down, protecting them as best you can is a priority. You're able to take little shortcuts by jumping over small gaps and corners. Minions were briefly mentioned earlier. It's highly important to note they are extremely dangerous and will be the bane of your existence if they know what they are doing. They do 15 damage per hit, so if you ever see a wounded teammate struggling to deal with a minion, don't be afraid to swoop in.
I think we did more damage than EXE. Look, I did more damage than EXE.
Okay, so you know what character to pick, the usual meeting grounds, how the maps work, how to help your team and all that jazz, but like, how do you actually survive an encounter with an EXE? This is where juking comes into play. At its very core, juking is just weaving the EXE until you can get your cooldowns back. I wouldn't go too into it as this is just a beginner's guide, but I can give a few pointers. Your ping, or MS, shown in the top right, is imperative in how well you can juke. The lower it is, the better. If it's high, expect to be getting hit from planets away. Again, you do not have a stamina bar of any sort, so you can just run forever. Just know that every killer in the game has a higher base speed than you, with Sonic.EXE I believe being the quickest. Springs are your best friends. You can use them to confuse experienced and inexperienced enemies alike by doing fake outs, changing direction, stuff like that. Just make sure not to do the same thing multiple times or the EXE will likely adapt and punish you for it. Red rings are situational, but they can save your life when the time is right. In exchange for draining your health by around 12 or 15 points, and highlighting your position to EXE for as long as it's active, they give you a minor yet meaningful speed boost. The best time to use these are if you're on cooldown or just need that extra bit of agility to buy time. If you take any sort of damage, however, the red ring effect is immediately cancelled. When it comes to juking without anything to help you, keep your eyes on the EXE, not your character. I cannot stress this enough. It's a mistake even I make an enormous amount of the time. Try to track their movement while moving in unpredictable patterns yourself, whether it be through zigzagging, spin juking, or just running in circles. All three EXEs have an indicator on when they're about to attack, that being when they raise their arms up. This is hardest to react to with Sonic.EXE, as its attacks are the only ones that can be held down or simply released, therefore having variable timing. But in most cases, if you see an EXE raise their arms up, or you can just feel an attack coming, change directions or jump. Using your jump wisely is key, as early jumps are able to be punished. Try not to back yourself into corners too. There is no definitive way to juke. It's just something you get a feel for as long as you keep playing. In most cases, you won't have to juke for too long, lest you're being targeted, the ring spawn and your entire team left you, or you're the last hope. But really, even if you consider yourself to be an expert, mistakes happen. It's just a silly little Roblox game where evil Sonic with blood red eyes chases you after all. So do your best to have fun. I encourage playing this game with friends as they make the experience a lot more enjoyable. Alternatively, I do play with my follower joins on, so if you ever want to hop in a game with me and witness my simplicity, that's also an option. You can feel free to join my Discord server too. We have a lovely community of TD and Forsaken enjoyers alike. I think that's all. If you made it this far, I hope it helped. Don't be afraid to check out my other content too. The final act. If you enjoyed this. Take care and stay tuned.